Going?
Yep.
Great. Hello. Okay, we're gonna cover the whole enchilada of the vessels. I'm gonna start with veins above the diaphragm, always going back to the heart. Hello, heart, here we are. This is the superior vena cava. Here's a nice example of the internal mammary vein. If you wanna look for your azygos, it's down here, okay? Here's the break apart, brachiocephalic, there it is. Brachiocephalic trunk, brachiocephalic trunk. This goes into the external jugular. I like it best on this side, right? And I'll talk about the trunks that come off the external jugular on the other side where it looks like it's cut. So external jugular, and here is the anterior facial vein, and there's the posterior facial vein. This is a nice transverse jugular where it would attach to the left external jugular if we had one, but we don't. So here is the brachiocephalic vein on the left side. This is the start of your external jugular, actually, okay? So this is the external jugular, and it is cut right here. It would come up. You can kind of imagine it on the other side. This is the transverse scapular vein, okay? And then if we follow laterally, okay, again, brachiocephalic vein, this is your subclavian vein. That's it. That's all I got. This is it. So short. This is it. Okay, and then this is your subscapular vein. And after the subscapular breaks off, it's like a stop sign on the highway. This becomes the axillary vein, and so on to the brachial vein. Okay? Let's talk about arteries. Going back to the heart, here's a beautiful arch of the aorta. If I peg it down here, that's the descending thoracic aorta. This is the brachiocephalic trunk. Here's the left subclavian. I'm gonna follow the left subclavian for a minute. Okay, there are three major branches off the subclavian artery. We call them the three sisters. I just remember them in my mind as VCT. So V for vertebral, C for costocervical, and T, right, this tiny thing back here for thyrocervical. This is your internal mammary, okay? And then, where did we pick up this? Right over here. Okay, so after the thyrocervical, this would become the axillary artery. And then there's not a great subscapular on here. It's right there. Then it would become the brachial, but I wouldn't peg that on this cat. Okay, let's see what we can see. Here's common carotid. Common carotid. Did you dissect out the... No. Okay, we'll do facial veins on another cat, or facial arteries. If you wanted to, you could certainly come up here to find your superior thyroid and lingual and so on, but we'll do that on another cat. So that's all above the diaphragm. Let's go to below. Ooh, you opened a kidney, fun. Okay, so once again, to orient you, here is the diaphragm. All right, fabulous, beautiful muscle. Ooh, look at that ligament, love it. All right. So just like we oriented to the heart above the diaphragm, we're always going to orient to the major highway vessels below the diaphragm, those being the abdominal aorta and the inferior vena cava, which you can see right here. I'm going to cover the arteries first, and then the specific arteries, and then from there on, it pretty much runs arteries and veins together. So abdominal aorta, the first branch you have is the celiac trunk, and let's look at to where those go. The most obvious branch is always going to be the splenic, which separates right here and goes to the spleen, which we can see. The next most obvious is the gastric, which is right here. And the trickiest to find is the hepatic, which is right here and goes all the way back to the liver. So gastric is right here, hepatic's right there. It's a nice example. Okay. Put all those organs aside. All right. Here's your superior mesenteric. I like to orient to the ileocecal junction. Remember we talked about curly hair, straight hair, wavy hair, right? This is all curly hair. This is straight hair. Right, see how it's significantly less floppy. And there's a bump in the middle, and that's wavy hair. That's your ileocecal junction. And you can see right here, this is your ileocolic artery. This is your middle colic artery, which goes to the middle of your large colon, very flat, right? And then your intestinals artery is the artery that goes to it's this one. And if you cleaned it a little bit, you'd see it kind of fanning out to serve the whole of the small intestine. Okay. Following that down, this is your inferior mesenteric trunk. This would be the left colic going up. Okay. So now let's talk about the veins and the arteries that run together. This is your adrenolumbar. This is your renal. Here's a nice ureter just for fun, just to show you guys. That'll be on your next exam, going from the kidney to the bladder. This is a bladder. See if I can find a nice gonadal on here for you guys. I think it was cut right here. Ah, here's one. Here's a gonadal artery coming down. If you ever find something kind of stringy coming up from the kidney region going down towards the gonad region, that's your gonadal. Here's your iliolumbar. Okay, going to the abdominal wall. Here's your external iliac. Here's your internal iliac. Everyone see that? External, internal, like Russian dolls. And then way deep in there, I'm gonna crane my head in front of the camera, but way deep in here is your median sacral. Okay. All right. Now let's follow the line of the external iliac right here. Remember, it's a superhighway with a stop sign. So here's your stop sign, your inguinal ligament. Then this becomes your femoral. This is all your femoral, and this is your deep femoral, and that's a beautiful example of that. Here's your saphenous vein, and here's your popliteal going deep to the knee. And that is all you need to know.